Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Neo Alpha walkthrough. This is the third section, and we're doing the second mission, which is recommended level 25. I don't know what level we are, we're going to hopefully see in a moment. I'm going to be using the Spirit Stones to get some monies, and then we're going to probably try and level up. Right, let's have a look. What are we doing? Praying at the altar. Level up. I'm level 20. Is that 20? You have to bear with me, guys. You can see, because this will be high def and everything, but for me, it's like fucking 420p. It's really hard to make out this shit. Oh, here's me selling everything. You see that? You can't sell what you've equipped. So, just hold triangle and hold down, and you can get rid of everything. And I recommend you do this often, because you're going to get tons of stuff for doing it, and you're not going to be carrying around a bunch of shit you're never going to wear. And some armor does have great passive abilities, but for the most, I care most about defense. Ooh, we got a weapon too. So we've now got 179 attack on our katana, which is pretty cool. We're going to put some different charms on, boost some of those defenses and some of those passives, some of those drop rates. Music in this game is weird. Not a big fan of it. Look at that, level 32. Hopefully we can kill this guy and get some good shit. Also, this level is incredibly dark, so what you're seeing right now, if this was on normal brightness, you wouldn't be able to see anything but that lamp. It's insane. But there's a parry on the hammer, there's a follow through, trying to break his guard, trying to get his key down. He rolls away and wastes some. Oh, that was a bad one. There goes his key, there goes the grab, there goes the knockdown. Couldn't get... Oh, I'm out of stamina. Bollock. That hurt. So, am I going to... Oh no, knock him down. Went for the kick, but it missed. There's his heavy attack. There's the punish with the... That was the combo, and I got some of my my stamina back. It's a cool looking combo, that, but it's so slow, and everything will punish it unless you kill them with it. Oh, high frames. Thank you kindly. Could have done Y then. So he's on the mid stance with the hammer, I think. When he's on the low stance, he does a thrust that's really fast. But what did he drop? A bunch of yellows. And another one of those cooperative items. Which you can't sell, which is annoying, because you can get so many of them. But I'm curious if this game is going to have invasions. Because it seems like it could be a cool idea to have, if they're going to go with the co-op and everything. Invasions are the next step, aren't they, really? And I think against a player... with the different stances and the different weapons, it could be really interesting. I don't know how much life it will have, because I don't know how it will work, and this is an alpha, so you need to be aware that when the game does come out, it might look vastly different to this. Wow, he's got fire on that axe, and he did massive damage on my bumhole. I really like the rain effects here as well. It brings out the lighting, and it makes the game pop, especially when you've got the brightness a little bit lower than this, so you can see a lot of the pools of shadow and light. It's a very nice looking game in a lot of respects. You know, it's not going to blow you away, I don't think, but I do think for both frame rate and visuals, it's got a very nice balance. But summoning another revenant, this guy's another guy with an axe. Whenever I see slow weapons, I look at it as a free kill when I'm playing right, and hopefully we can get some good drops off him. There's his two light attacks. There's the knockdown. There's the grab. Can we get the execution? No, we can't. There's another kick. Big Kai damage. He's using all his stamina so we can poke him and put him down. Another grab. Big damage. Into a kick. Is he going to do another swing? Here he comes with the high stance. He's wasting his own stamina, so we do a couple pokes. Get him again. No key left. See you later, bro. And pick up whatever he drops. That guy had all purple gear. You see that? Except for his helmet. This dude's got a purple sword. What was that? Level 34? He's using high stance too, which means this guy's going to get his ass parried. I'm hoping that there's a better follow-up than this in the main game, because the parry that I'm doing gets me behind them, and you do like one slash. I would like an animation that's just insane damage, please, because they're my kind of parry. Oh, I'm knackered. Oh, and it knocked me down too. Half my life knocked me down. He's knackered. Get him. There's his heavy attack. Get him, poke. Grab. No. Oh, I missed the grab. Damn it. There's me interrupting him doing the heavy attack. Frame advantage, son. Gotta be careful. Them 3-frame jabs. The damage has made me timid, you see that? That was the fast one. There's a 3-hitter, then we counter. What does he do? Is he going to do the slow one? I'm going to chuck a quick elixir just in case. Poke. Stopped him again with the poke. Rolls away. There's the heavy attack. Heavy attack again. Nice counter. Tries to get me with his little combo. Frame advantage, stamina penalty, and pick up all his stuff. Or whatever it is that they drop. Hit the shrine to heal. You don't want to be wasting your elixirs. There's no need, really. And hopefully we can get a couple more dead bodies. I've not seen anybody at a higher level than my other character as well. I have seen no graves of anybody 40 plus yet. It's like they haven't played it enough, or maybe they just kind of stopped. At 40, it takes 100,000 Amarita, or whatever it's called, to level up. So I don't blame people for not getting too much higher. Hang on a second, what level was that? Level 40? That might have been level 40. Couldn't quite tell because the res. He's got a big hammer though, so we can do this to him all day, son. All day, brother. Doesn't matter how stronger than me you are, I'm going to take you out. Once again, guys, you don't have to do this. If you want to just do the level, feel free to do so, but I think this is a way of getting better gear a little bit faster, maybe, so that's why I do this. And if nothing else, I really like fighting these revenants, because it's good at learning the movesets, it's good at learning the parry timings, because the attacks that this monster's doing are all attacks that a lot of the enemies in this level can do. Like, obviously, there's no hammer guys here, but the axe guys have got a very similar moveset. And anybody who's using a katana is every single katana enemy in this game. So if you can learn what those moves are, what they do, and how they do it, you can learn to fight it. So that's what we're doing in a lot of ways. But you want to always keep on top of your inventory management. And hopefully you can get some better defense, you can mix up your luck. You can do your fashion souls if you want to. But it can be quite difficult to do that on this game because a lot of the stuff looks kind of shit. Some of it looks nice. I mean, of course, it's very subjective, but there's a pretty nasty pull coming up here. You want to kill this guy first. I use the mid stance to do a couple of quick hits on him. He does generally one hit, so this is not much of a combo guy. He's in his pants, so maybe we caught him off guard. And then this guy over here is a heavy who's very dangerous, but there's also a double pull. There's a dude who's sat behind a box to the heavy's right. So I'm going to wait for that dude to turn around, and then I'm going to rush the guy who attacks you with this dude. So if you rush just over here, he's behind this box. He's just another standard crappy guy, but 2 enemies at once is hard in this game. And then this dude is just an armoured enemy, so he's tough anyway. I'm on mid stance, he's on low stance, so he's doing the heavy low attack. He goes into his guarding animation, which I don't really know what that does. He's in high stance now, so I should probably put on mid stance to start going for parries. We knock him down. We do the old sword in the chest. High stance again. Goes into mid stance. And I think that's where the skill of this game is going to be. Acknowledging the stances, understanding the stances, and moving between them. I'm hoping that in the final game there'll be more diversity to the move sets. And there'll be more moves, so that when you are in the different stances, it's really kind of a guessing game in a lot of ways, unless you know what your opponent's doing, thanks to things like conditioning and what have you. Because as it stands, once you've played it a few times, it does get considerably easier to know what's going to happen and what's going to be thrown at you. Which there's nothing wrong with that. Ooh, that guy's got nothing but uniques. Okay, so he's in mid-stance with a katana. Interesting, my sword has dark on it. Has some kind of purple energy. 1, 2. He didn't do the thrust, he knackered himself out though. Nice block. And he's down, and I'm getting hit by an arrow. That's not good. There's the kick, stopping him coming in. See what I mean though? This thrust attack is so good at controlling space. Wow. Nice block. Oh, I'm getting bummed. Falling over. Try to, there we go, get him down and stab him. There's my stamina. He does the like 3 to 4 hits on the thrust, but we punish him for it. Does he drop anything good? Probably not. Which is a shame. But this area's got some really cool shortcuts. It must be said, though, the level design in this game, because they're trying to imitate the Souls design of having an area that interconnects and then has a shortcut that supersedes the need for better checkpoints, they've kind of done the imitation route with this again. And it's not bad, it's just kind of interesting. Like, the tree shortcuts in the river area are really good. I think they're a clever use. The shortcut to the shrine via the door is really dumb. Because one of the things with shortcuts is they're meant to make it an easier path to get to places. And this door doesn't really do that. It just loops the level, which is perfectly fine, but it stands out to me as a shortcut that's not a salvation. And shortcuts are meant to be a salvation. They're meant to supersede the struggle. And both shortcuts in this game, the ladder in the last level and that doorway in this level, are shortcuts that do not do that. You still have to go through potentially a lot of mobs and a lot of tough enemies. And it's just, once again, it's that philosophy of the design ethos of Souls, where everything is designed for a very specific reason, and they've had a lot of games to work the kinks out and to understand what it all means. And if you come in and you make a game trying to be like that, it's easy to get it to look and seem that way, but getting all the thought behind things and getting the feel to be right is the hardest thing in the world. And it's what separates from other developers. And this is not a new concept. Look at the Doom clones, look at the Mario clones, you know. These games that came along using a very similar formula, making their own games within it. And a lot of the times they can be really good games, a lot of the times they can be super cash-in pieces of shit that shouldn't exist, but the one thing that will always remain is they'll never do it as good as the person that made it, because they don't understand it at the same level. It's the difference between, for instance, a high school education and a PhD or a master's degree in something. It's a completely higher plane of thinking, and I think they've made something very interesting by not quite understanding it completely, and I think that's one of the ways this game will stand out, because imitation is very difficult to do. You know, they say it's the sincerest form of flattery, but at the same time, it's easy to spot a false, you know, impersonator. Just look at CGI when you're watching a film. We cannot do human CGI yet to a level of realism that we don't notice it's CGI. It doesn't exist because it looks weird to us. We're used to seeing other people all the time. We know what another human looks like. So when we see something that's slightly off, regardless of how amazing it is, and it is amazing, it's still off. And you will never not see that until we get to the point where it's like replicants and shit, which I don't know if we ever will, but it'd be cool if we do. And it's the same with a game that's imitating another game. You could watch videos of this, and you might think, wow, it's just Dark Souls in feudal Japan. And a lot of people say shit like that, you know? Dark Souls 3 is just Bloodborne with swords. Like, Bloodborne had swords. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And even that contrast, Dark Souls and Bloodborne, very different systems. Similar architecture, you know, similar ethos in a lot of ways, but different, subtly, that not a lot of people even fully understand. Because people play at face values, they don't want to learn the higher ends of things or how stuff ticks, because some people just don't care. But you can always spot the imposters. Oh, by the way, the ninjas are assholes. Always go into mid stance so that you can frame advantage them, because they're very aggressive and they're very fast. High stance will get you killed every time. And try not to fight two enemies at once. This enemy loves to grab. Whenever he's in the low stance, he'll either do 2 ankle swipes or he'll grab. If he doesn't do that, he'll stand up and try and hit you with the pickaxe. The cool thing is, he has to transition between stances to do these moves, so it's really interesting to see him do them. So it makes him a very fair enemy. I like his design a lot. I think this level's stellar. I really like this level. It's beautiful. It's got a lot of different winding paths. It's got a lot of surprises. It's a little dense in enemies, but it doesn't need to be sparse in a game like this because you can make it work. But there's lots of games that have imitated other titles and they just haven't done it right. They've done it in their own way and they've made something that some people might like, but it never mirrors the quality. And there's tons of games like that. Look at Dante's Inferno. Dante's Inferno is a game that I thought was reviewed very harshly at the time because people just called it a God of War clone. And it is a God of War clone. There's no two words about it. But it had a lot of cool features in that game that I thought were worth merit. And the first one for me personally was the beauty of it. I think the design and the aesthetic of Dante's Inferno is fantastic. I think mechanically, it's a bootleg, simplified God of War, without the precision of God of War. But even then, there's still some precision there, and there's a lot of quality there to have a lot of fun with it and to make a pleasing game. But when you put it side beside to God of War, and you go through those systems, it will lose every time. Because it does nothing better than God of War, because God of War does everything really well. It's such a polished game. Like, everything that you can argue each of those games does better is probably subjective. Mechanically, God of War wins every time. It's just, there's no argument there. The only argument is taste. Mechanically, it is just a superior game. And look at Resident Evil clones, or survival horror clones that use the very similar, kind of design philosophy of picking up the items, tank controls, all that kind of stuff. Those puzzles, those super cryptic puzzles, the pre-rendered backgrounds. You had your Resident Evils, you had your Silent Hills, you had your Alone in the Darks back in the day, and then you had stuff like fucking... Did anybody play, was it Galarians? There were a bunch of PlayStation 1 era like survival horror clones, and they were games that had tank controls, they had pre-rendered backgrounds, they had the puzzles, they had the monsters, they had the scarce ammo, they were difficult, all that kind of stuff, but they missed the soul that made Capcom's games so successful. And it happens all the time. Another great example, the Captain America game, the cash-in for the movie. It essentially ripped off Arkham Asylum's combat system, but it wasn't Arkham's combat. And you could immediately tell it didn't have half the polish, half the finesse, or half the expertise that Arkham did. Because they made it. It's there. It's their baby, And that's why I think if you're going to make one of these clone games, and people look at clone as a derogatory term, I don't think it is. I think it's just honest, really, because it's essentially using what that game did great and building on it. And I think you have to build on it in your own way. You can't not. If you try to go close to the original, you have to be so obsessed, so anally retentive, just 100% focused on the minutiae and the minute and tiny details to pull it off, or you will always fail. And even then, you'll still probably fail because you don't have all those lessons that team learnt when making that masterpiece. You don't have that, so you are at a disadvantage. You're the voyeur who doesn't understand all the inner workings and all the toil that got to that finished game. And a lot of the times, without all of that, you don't get that masterpiece. You don't get those mechanics working so fluidly. And that's why you get these kind of shallow and empty imitations. And that's why you see these differences, which is the main reason I personally think you have to go different. Because you can't copy what somebody's done so well. You can't copy that kind of class. It doesn't work. You can dress them up, you can teach them how to speak, how to eat from the small forks outwards and all that kind of shit, but you're not going to have yourself a prince or royalty or some kind of sovereign because it's something that is learned over time and born into in a lot of cases rather than imitated. And that's what Nioh does well, I think. There's so much goof in this game that's going to really separate it. The things like this negative energy that affects stamina. The things like this gimmick of getting stamina back by pressing a button in some kind of symbiotic system. All this loot that's just spilling out of enemies. All this crazy amounts of items that are not quite as well tuned as they are in a Souls game, but maybe that'll give it a different feel and a different style of play. All this stances, these changing between stances, this complexity, that they're adding so many things that are putting their own brand on it. The Bloodstained Revenant thing's the best thing in this game, outside of the performance and the loading and everything, because it's just a cool idea. This is one of the firebombers, by the way. This guy's a dickhead. I absolutely despise that enemy that fires bombs. Takes a ton of hits, and watch it chuck a bomb at me now. Ooh, there's the tongue enemy too. He's interesting. So there, the gameplay's proving me wrong, which I'm always happy to be proven wrong, because it means that there's some faith there to be had. But I'm really curious to see where this goes. Oh, this enemy is incredibly evasive. At first, I thought it was an enemy that was stealing your experience, and it does. It steals your am I right stuff, Amarita. But what it does is, if it hits you twice successfully, it turns into an ogre. But it's timed, so if you wait it out, he'll shrink down again, which I think is really cool. This is probably the most interesting enemy in the alpha, but it's a nightmare to fight if you don't understand it, because it's really evasive. What you want to do is you want to wait for it to do something like that. Wait for it to act, and then hit it. If you try and hit it before, it'll dodge you almost every time. And be careful of that, because that's the stuff that's going to affect your stamina. That's the stuff you need to use the special move to get rid of. I'm really hoping in the final game, though, that they embellish upon all these different systems and it makes a lot more sense. Because whatever that is and however that works, if it can be weaponized for the player so that you can somehow do a technique to convert that energy into damage against the boss or an enemy, it could add so much depth and interesting ways to play to this game. That's his grab, by the way. Very fast grab. There's his 2-hit combo. He can do it in a multitude of different ways. Pop a quick elixir. But I'm not sure. And that's why I think that this is really promising. Oh, that's something I've not discussed. Do you see below his life? This guy has a different meter. On this guy, I think it's a stun meter. So when that black gets to the bottom, a lot of the times you stun him. And it's not doing it now. I'm not too sure what it is. I think it's some kind of power source. Because did you notice how when he stands in that negative zone, he seems to get it back? I'm not sure. So many things I don't know. I love the status effect on him though, and I love the dismemberment. It's really cool looking. But where does this game go after this, you know, with its levels? Does it stick to feudal Japan, or is it going to go all crazy underworld like Ninja Gaiden and Onimusha always did? Where they turned everything weirdly green and spiky and it looked like a sculpture out of Beetlejuice. I don't know. I hope it sticks feudal. I want it to be straight up all these kind of houses, all this kind of awesome looking architecture, just in different environments. I want some stuff during the day, I want some stuff during the night, I want them to mix it up, you know, time periods and what have you. And I think they could have something really, really good. I just don't go nuts, you know. I don't want it to turn into fucking robots or anything. I don't want it to go into the future and you're in skyscrapers and shit. I want it to just really stick to this, and I think it could be great. I'm worried about the bosses. I don't know how you can't be, if I'm honest, because they kind of seem simple, and the only thing they have going for them is questionable detection. Oh, this was interesting. I'm going to try and knock this guy off the roof, because you notice how when I do the thrust, they dodge? I was hoping he would dodge off the roof, and I think it works. So one more. One more. No, no. One more. No. Oh, I'm knackered. And here he comes with the low stance heavy attack. Oh, he's not doing it. Do it! Damn it! There it was. Didn't even need to swing. He killed himself. I'm also going to miss this next jump, which is the first time I've missed it and doing it about 5 times. Look at that bullshit. I hope they had a jump, I really do. Oh, there's an ogre. There's the sword that he dropped. And there's some more drops. So this creature has a 2-hit combo. It has a sweeping hook. It has a couple of like big jumpy moves. And it can throw a rock at you at a distance, which is really dangerous. That's its hook. That's its jump. You'll notice it's spreading out tons of that weird energy that seems to be stopping me from being able to use the pulse technique, maybe? I'm not sure. Yeah, look, I think that's what it is, you know. I think when you're in that negative energy, unless you use the pulse, or whatever they call that, get your Kai back technique, you do not regen it right. You lose it. I think that might be what that does. And there's me using that technique again, by the way. You see how it gives it you back and it does that noise and makes that light? I fucked it up then. You've got to wait. I was trying to do it too soon. I'm so excited for complexity because it seems like it might have it. It looks like it could be really interesting. I'm wondering how the weapons are going to fare as well, because Every katana I've picked up in this has been the same. You know, it's just been aesthetically different, and there's nothing wrong with that. I was just hoping for maybe some differences down the line. I guess we won't know until we play it. Maybe there'll be different classes of katana. But maybe it'll just be spears, hammers, and everything else that they're going for. I know I'm hoping for tonfas. I'm sure you are as well. Because that's a cool weapon that Team Ninja have always managed to make even cooler. As we fight this dude, doing the strategy that's good, but can also fail you if your spacing's bad. And my spacing's not great in this one, I don't think. Well, it's going okay so far. There's also a nasty trap coming up here with 2 ninjas. There's usually a lot of bloodstains around this area just because of the ninjas. This is a game where, without even really noticing it, just because of how cheeky a lot of the enemy placements is, you can get a ton of people on you by fighting enemies. Because you try and dodge, you dodge too far towards one direction, and boom, 2 more dudes are chucking bombs at you, or somebody's near you. It escalates very quickly. And it's intentional because they want you to know where all the enemies are by dying to them, which is kind of another one of those things where I don't think they've quite understood the Souls philosophy on design. Because, believe it or not, Souls games aren't about dying. They really aren't. Death is a large part of that game, but a lot of the scenarios can be sussed just by subtle clues and tells in the level, whereas this game so far just doesn't have that eye of detail. And it's a very detailed game. It's just, once again, it's something they've not thought about in the design. Because look at these fuckers, dude. Put that fast weapon on and stun lock them. So mean. Oh wow, that's somebody chucking a bomb at me from on a roof somewhere. Or maybe it was one of the ninjas. Those bombs are terrifying though. You want to be really careful. Chucked a shuriken. See you later. But there are a lot of circumstances where it's not immediately obvious that you're going to get ambushed. But it's all stuff they can work on. Ooh, this guy's an easy kill because he's wearing no armor. No armor means no defense, so even if he is level 31, if we hit him a few times in high stance, we'll do massive damage to him. I have no idea why anybody would be doing what this guy's doing, other than to show off maybe, and I don't really think this is a game where you can show off because it looks so goofy. It really does. It's interesting. I'm curious to see what other people are feeling when they play it, because I was in a Twitch stream earlier for Dark Souls 3 and there was a lot of people shitting on this game. And I could understand people shitting on it in some ways, but in other ways, no. Other ways, it's just kind of like, you got destroyed, didn't you? And you couldn't get past the first area, so you turned it off instead of playing it longer and learning to understand it. That's what a lot of people's opinions of this game seem to be. Like, and I understand that, because at first I was having a really tough time too. Like, watch this bullshit. This fucking bitch takes so many arrows, because apparently his face is made of lead, and he's just chucking bombs at me that set me on fire. It's just so annoying. And this guy's going to throw bombs at me perfectly now from down there. Even though he can't see me, he's going to throw them perfectly. Because he's a bitch. Such annoying design. And I can't get out of it quick enough to recover and dodge, so there's no point. So I'm just going to commit to shooting this dickhead. Oh, I did it that time, maybe. There's 2 enemies here as well that are hidden so that you start fighting the Ogre and then these guys attack you. But you'll notice the bomber's still throwing bombs at me. The fucking bitch. Really don't like that. So I think that this goes really bad. Whoa, that was a crit on his eye. See that? 2,000 damage. Music's good when you fight this dude. There's the rock. That does a lot of damage. There's his 2-punch combo. Always punish that with the strong attack. Oh, and here's this little shit that was going to turn into an ogre as well. So I get myself into a really bad spot here. I have no idea where that little shit leashed from. How I've managed to pull him all the way down here, but GG game. And there it is. Now he's going to turn into another ogre, so I'm now going to get chased by 2 ogres. And in a game such as this, where it's almost impossible to kill these ogres fast, unless you've got some kind of god weapon that doesn't exist, this is going to be a rough scenario, and I'm going to be running myself into more enemies if I'm not careful, and that's what this game wants you to do. He wants you to back up and end up pulling 5 or 6 enemies, and it gets really bad when you do that. There's the negative energy draining the stamina. He's chucking rocks. And my logic here is I'm going to try and time out the left Ogre. I'm not too sure if I'm successful. I don't think I'll kill him because I don't think there's a point. But this is good practice for learning to react when things go bad. As I fall into the water, which is actually a good place to be. And of course they chase you, because everything chases you in this game. It's pretty funny. There is one area too where this game kind of does the Souls things, but manages to be the worst of both worlds. The boss door on this particular level doesn't put up a fog. And if you pull any enemies, you'll pull them into the boss fight with you. So you can have multiple enemies and the boss attacking you. And this is a boss that can one-shot you with its moves, so you really don't want that. Yet they've enabled you to do that because they're very kind like that. But this is an example of fortune favouring a coward. I'm going to kite them and then open the shortcut, and then we're going to hit the shrine and kill them that way. It's not the most manly approach, but it will work. It's great practice too, learning to run in this game, because you run very fast. But so do the enemies, so it works both ways. But thank you for watching, and you take care now.